Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. DGMO says India remains prepared to take on any challenge thrown up by Pakistan and retaliate in case of violation of the stoppage of firing understanding a day before speaking to his counterpart. DGMO also reveals how India's actions during and after Operation Sindoor killed over 100 terrorists, targeted Pakistan's multiple aerial sites, including its air headquarters in Chakala, next to Islamabad. DG Naval Ops says even Karachi is not out of India's reach. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh terms Operation Sindur as not just a military action, but a symbol of India's political, social and strategic willpower. And Zelenskyy says Ukraine is ready to meet Putin for ceasefire talks, dubbing Russia's call for direct talks with Kiev on the 15th of May as a positive sign. In a high-stakes development following the launch of Operation Sindoor, the Ministry of Defence held a joint press conference on Sunday to brief the nation on the operation's progress and strategic outlook. Addressing the media, DGMO Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai said that those strikes across those 9 terror hubs left more than 100 terrorists killed.
Strikes across those 9 terror hubs left more than 100 terrorists killed, including high-value targets such as Yusuf Azhar, Abdul Malik Rauf and Mudassir Ahmed that were involved in the hijack of IC-814 and the Pulwama blast. The line of control was also violated soon after by Pakistan, and the erratic and rattled response of our enemy was apparent from the number of civilians, inhabited villages and religious sites such as Gurudwaras that were unfortunately hit by them, leading to a sad loss of lives. The Indian Air Force played a major part in these strikes by engaging some of these camps, and the Indian Navy provided wherewithal in terms of precision munitions.
DGMO Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai also said that Pakistan flew drones and aircraft into our airspace all across the borders and made largely unsuccessful attempts to target numerous military infrastructure.
Operation Sindoor was conceptualized with a clear military aim to punish the perpetrators and planners of terror and to destroy their terror infrastructure. What I do not state here, of course, is the often stated determination of India and its intolerance to terror.
Addressing the media, Air Marshal AK Bharti said that the aim on the 7th of May was to target terrorists and their infrastructure, not any other infrastructure, especially not Pakistani civilian or military establishments.
We carefully selected the targets, and out of the 9 selected targets, the target systems that were given to the Indian Air Force were the notorious training camps at Bhavalpur and Muridke, these being further from the international boundary. Through critical target system analysis, we analyzed what was to be done to annihilate these targets and plan to engage these targets with precision air-to-surface guided munitions so as to avoid collateral damage. On the 7th, our objective was to address these two terrorist camps, and that we did with precision. And thereafter, we maintained a robust air defense posture, because remember, our objective was to target the terrorists and terrorist infrastructure, not any other infrastructure, not the Pakistani military, not the Pakistani any other infrastructure.
All right, and DD India correspondent Nandanda Dagar joins us for more on what the armed forces representatives have said during the press briefing. Hi, Nandita. During the press briefing today by the Ministry of Defence, a lot of things, a lot of points came out. You know, they revealed a lot of things today. What were the key takeaways? If you can just tell us.
Yes. Hi, Siddharth. This briefing was addressed by the top brass of the Indian Army, Air Force and Navy, by the Directors General of the operations, which means that they are in the thick of things. They were in the know of all the operations that were happening. Some of the key takeaways. Number one, India's political will and military capability has carried out Operation Sindur to deter and punish a rogue state, a terrorist fountainhead, Pakistan, for carrying out in this massacre of innocent tourists, 26 tourists at point blank range in Pahalgam on 22nd of April. This was a deterrent and preemptive act. This was not intended at the first strike of Operation Sindur was aimed at 9 terrorist infrastructures which were carefully selected, and including Bahawalpur, which is the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Muridke, which is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba, both proscribed and designated terrorist organizations by the United Nations. And in this, something very significant came out. We were hearing rumors, but now it has been confirmed that around 100 and even more than 100 terrorists were killed in these 9 on these 9 locations or these 9 terrorist camps and hubs. Number 2, India's superior military capability. India outsmarted, outgunned, outnumbered Pakistan in every way. They sent, after the first initial strike across terrorist camps, Pakistan has been sending for 3 continuous nights, the night of 8th to 9th of May, 9th to 10th, 10th to 11th, several drones, and carried out several aerial intrusions, airspace violations with its unmanned aerial vehicles, some of them kamikaze drones such as biker drones, the Turkish Songa drones, and they were all neutralized, rendered ineffective by our air defense systems. Also, not just that, they have been targeting our civilian infrastructure from Kupwara, Baramulla at the north of the LOC to the frontier states of Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, apart from the LOC and IB in Poonch, Mender, Rajouri, where civilians were targeted by Pakistan. And that actually forced India to take punitive action against Pakistan. Third, India made it clear that India has actually targeted Pakistani air bases, including the Noor Khan or the Chaklala air base, the Murid and Rafiki air base, the Chunian air base, all of them with precision guided munitions. They are precision, very, very surgical weapons. That means India has acted like a sovereign and a responsible state, has not targeted civilian infrastructure, has not targeted schools, hospitals, religious mosques, temples, other places, unlike Pakistan, which has actually carried out shelling and mortar shelling with heavy caliber artillery and mortars on the line of control in areas such as Poonch, Mender, Rajouri, and of course other places in the other bordering states. So India made it very clear that India does not intend to, and India fully is a responsible state, whereas Pakistan, like a rogue state, has acted against civilian infrastructure in a cowardly manner and as an irresponsible rogue state. Number 4, the Navy made a very, very important, the Director General of Naval Operations, Vice Admiral Pramod, he made a very important statement when he was asked that there were rumors floating in the Indian media a couple of nights ago that Indian Navy has bombed Karachi. He clarified that Indian Navy had adopted a forward deterrent posture, which means that all its warships, all its submarines in the Arabian Sea from the Western Command, which is also known as the sword arm of the Indian Navy, were forward deployed, ready to strike any moment, anywhere, anytime. In fact, this is on record. He said it that we have the capability to strike any port, any harbor, any warship in Pakistan, including Karachi. That capability exists with the Indian Navy. Number 5, India's beautiful air defense system, including the S-400 missile systems, the Barak 8, the Army's air defense guns or batteries, they all neutralized these incoming targets. They detected them, engaged them, and neutralized them, rendered them ineffective, in a way useless, before they could cause civilian damage, much more civilian damage to India. Number 5, Pakistan is the fountainhead of terror. This is something that is not just, which has been the fountainhead of terror, the nursery of terrorism, which trains, arms terrorists, not just in India and South Asia, but across the world, as we've seen the fingerprints of it. Even the 9/11 hijackers, some of them had been trained in Pakistan, radicalized. Even today, the shootings that are being carried out in European capitals and in the US, in California a couple of years ago, all these mass shootings, some of them are done by people who are of Pakistani origin and have trained in Pakistan. So India has given not just a message to Pakistan but to the entire world that India has a strong political will, and India, like any self-respecting nation, will not tolerate terrorist acts, and which are acts of war on its soil and on its people and their life and property.
All right,
Siddharth.
Definitely, you analyzed it really well, Nandita, but we leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Now, there will be no talks at the NSA level between India and Pakistan. It will be held only at the level of DGMO. There won't be any mediator in, and the talks with Pakistan will be on handing over POK and terrorists responsible for attacks on India. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Sunday praised Operation Sindur, asserting that the Indian armed forces have delivered a decisive blow to anti-India elements inside Pakistan. He also said Operation Sindur was not just a military action, but a symbol of India's political, social and strategic willpower.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh hailed Operation Sindur as a defining moment in India's fight against terrorism. He asserted that the operation was launched to destroy terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and POK, and innocent civilians were not targeted.
भारतीय सेनाओं ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर को पाकिस्तान में मौजूद आतंकी ढांचा ढहाने के उद्देश्य से लॉन्च किया था। हमने उनके आम नागरिकों को कभी निशाना नहीं बनाया था, मगर पाकिस्तान ने न केवल भारत के नागरिक इलाकों को निशाना बनाया, बल्कि मंदिर, गुरुद्वारा, गिरजाघर पर भी हमले करने का प्रयास किया। भारतीय सेना ने शौर्य और पराक्रम के साथ साथ संयम का भी परिचय देते हुए पाकिस्तान के अन्य ठिकानों पर भी प्रहार करके करारा जवाब दिया है।
India's Defence Minister said Operation Sindur's impact has not only shaken the borders of Pakistan but reached till Rawalpindi.
भारतीय सेना ने शौर्य और पराक्रम के साथ साथ संयम का भी परिचय देते हुए पाकिस्तान के अन्य ठिकानों पर भी प्रहार करके करारा जवाब दिया है। हमने केवल सीमा से सटे सैन्य ठिकानों पर ही नहीं कार्रवाई की, बल्कि भारत की सेनाओं की धमक उस रावलपिंडी तक सुनी गई, जहां पाकिस्तानी फौज का हेडक्वार्टर मौजूद है।
Defence Minister termed Operation Sindur as a proof that whenever India acts against terrorism, even the land across the border is not safe for terrorists and their masters.
भारत में आतंकवादी घटनाएं करने और कराने का क्या अंजाम होता है, यह पूरे विश्व ने उरी की घटना के बाद देखा, जब हमारी सेना ने पाकिस्तान में घुसकर सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक की। पुलवामा के बाद देखा, जब बालाकोट पर एयर स्ट्राइक की गई। और अब पहलगाम की घटना के बाद दुनिया देख रही है कि जब भारत ने पाकिस्तान के भीतर घुसकर मल्टीपल स्ट्राइक्स की हैं। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति पर चलते हुए हमारे यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने स्पष्ट कर दिया है कि यह नया भारत है जो आतंक के खिलाफ सरहद के इस पार और उस पार दोनों तरफ प्रभावी कार्रवाई करेगा। यह हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्पष्ट रूप से यह संदेश दे दिया है।
India launched Operation Sindoor on May 7th in reply to the ghastly terror attack in Pahalgam on April 22nd that claimed the lives of 26 people. India had struck 9 terror sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Bureau Report, DD India.
With markets reopening, normalcy is returning to border areas of India in Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Gujarat and Rajasthan, day after an agreement of understanding was reached between India and Pakistan. The security establishment also remains on alert. More details in this report.
The situation in border areas of India is returning to normal a day after an agreement of understanding was reached between India and Pakistan. In Jammu and Kashmir, no drones, firing or shelling activity were reported during the intervening night of May 10th and 11th. In Srinagar, markets were bustling as shoppers returned. Calm also prevailed close to the line of control in Poonch and Rajouri. People resumed daily activities in several Punjab districts including Firozpur and Pathankot. Markets have also reopened in Shaheed Bhagat Singh Nagar. Red alert continues in Amritsar district with authorities urging residents to remain indoors and avoid windows. Power supply has been restored for public convenience. In Rajasthan, no hostile movements or airspace violations were detected overnight. The state's security establishment remains on alert. The situation also remained normal in Gujarat, where state headquarters and district administrations conducted a review meeting to assess and reinforce preparedness. Bureau Report, DD India.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is calling for direct peace talks with Ukraine, proposing a high-stakes summit in Istanbul on May 15. The announcement marks the most serious signal of diplomacy since talks broke down more than 2 years ago. But with deep mistrust on both sides and a fresh push from European leaders for an immediate ceasefire, the question remains, will this be a genuine step toward peace? Here's a report.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday proposed holding direct talks with Ukraine in Istanbul on May 15. The Kremlin's surprise offers signals what could be the most serious push for diplomacy since negotiations collapsed over 2 years ago.
Let me remind you, it was not us who walked away from talks in 2022. It was Ukraine. Still, despite everything, we are ready to resume direct negotiations without any preconditions.
Putin said the goal is not just a temporary ceasefire, but a lasting peace, one that, in his words, addresses the root causes of the conflict. US President Donald Trump weighed in, posting on social media, a potentially great day for Russia and Ukraine. Trump added he would continue to work with both sides to help bring the conflict to an end. This bold proposal comes just hours after European leaders, including UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron, visited Kiev, urging Moscow to accept an immediate 30-day unconditional ceasefire. But the Russian president pushed back, accusing Ukraine of ignoring 3 recent ceasefire proposals, a month-long halt to attacks on energy infrastructure, an Easter truce and a symbolic pause during World War II commemorations. Ukraine, in turn, has consistently denied those claims. Moscow has similarly alleged violations by Kiev. With both sides trading blame and accusations, the stage is now set for a critical showdown, diplomacy versus distrust. May 15th could mark a critical moment for Eastern Europe, a chance for peace or yet another missed opportunity? Bureau Report, DD India.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has announced he is prepared to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin this Thursday in Istanbul. The announcement comes after US President Donald Trump urged Zelenskyy to accept an immediate offer of talks with Russia. Posting on X, the Ukrainian leader also confirmed that his government expects a full ceasefire to begin on Monday, creating what he described as a necessary basis for meaningful diplomacy aimed at ending the war. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan talked over phone on Sunday. Kremlin said that both leaders discussed Putin's proposal to hold Russia-Ukraine peace talks in Istanbul on May 15. Kremlin also said that Turkish president fully supported the Putin's proposal and was ready to host the talks in Istanbul. Erdogan told Putin that a comprehensive ceasefire would create the necessary environment for peace talks. India wants to play a bigger role in Europe's flour market, but getting there is no easy task. For Indian exporters, breaking into the system means overcoming some very real challenges. Strict EU certification rules, high air freight costs, and the need for cold chain infrastructure to keep flours fresh during long distance transport. Let's take a closer look.
One of the largest producers of flowers in the world. Roses, carnations, marigolds, orchids, grown in greenhouses and fields across the country, year-round. Recently, a delegation of Indian exporters visited the Netherlands to explore new trade routes and market access. Their focus? Direct entry into Europe's floral economy, and that starts just outside of Amsterdam. There, on the edge of a quiet Dutch town, stands the world's largest flower auction. A vast complex covering nearly 1 million square meters, bigger than 200 football fields. Every weekday mornings, millions of stems change hands here. This building is more than a marketplace. It's the beating heart of the global flower trade and the main gateway into Europe. With European growers facing rising energy prices and production costs, importers are looking for reliable alternatives. Indian producers believe their time has come and they're seeking cooperation with Dutch logistic experts and policymakers to make it happen. The question now is whether Indian flowers can truly bloom in Europe and whether this new partnership will take root. Mark Limburg reporting from the Netherlands for DD India.
An Indian women's cricket team thrashed Sri Lanka by 97 runs to win the Tri-Nation Series on Sunday. Batting first, India put 342 on the board with opener Smriti Mandhana's ton and important contributions from Harleen Deol, Harmanpreet Kaur and Jemima Rodrigues. In response, Sri Lanka were bundled out for 245 as the Indian bowlers put in a well-rounded effort led by Sneh Rana, who notched figures of 4 for 38 runs. India had won 3 of their 4 games en route to the final, besting South Africa twice and Sri Lanka once before the summit clash. All 3 teams will be featuring at the Women's Cricket World Cup later this year, with India hosting the tournament for the 4th time. In Sri Lanka's Nuwara area, arrangements for Monday's Vasak festival are in full swing. The Vasak festival, which marks the birth and enlightenment and passing away of Gautam Buddha, is the most significant religious and cultural festival in the island nation. Streets, homes, temples and public spaces have been decorated with colorful lanterns and massive pandals depicting stories from Buddha's life. Sri Lankans observe the day by visiting temples for prayers, meditation and summons. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.